Well, you know what you're not buying? A ticket to see Tron 3.
No, I'm not. Fuck off. Wow, that was the worst,
That was a good
meanest
setup.
possible way you
was
could
the-
segue
yeah.
in. Yeah, so...
I'm not shocked at this, by the way.
No, I'm not shocked either. But, I mean, this is kind of what people think happened. So, Tron 3 is not happening. Sad.
Came out. The sequel came out already almost. It was 3.5 years ago. It came out, right?
Yeah, but they did have people on board. They were still debating it. But what people think happened is that I can't prove this, but it would make sense to me because Disney is going to play things fucking safe. It's why it took them so long to come out with a Tron sequel in the first place. Although that kind of counteracts your argument. That doesn't mean there won't be another Tron sequel in 15 years because, good lord, it took them.
By the way, it was
30 years.
It was 4.5 years ago. It came out December 2010.
Okay.
Holy shit.
So, Tomorrowland comes out, live action movie that Disney wants to do, and apparently it flops horribly. Disney has always been kind of weird about live action movies and doing them. They've always been very cautious around them, and I think a good portion of why they may have, even if it was only in the initial discussion phases, and no, it doesn't surprise me either, but I think they may have looked at what was going on with Tomorrowland and said, nope, not worth it.
Which is weird, just because Tomorrowland is based upon a part of Disney that not many people are aware of versus Tron.
That's kind of my problem with that reasoning, is that Tron is an established brand that at least people like. What do you think happens when... I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean was a one-time thing, guys. Haunted Mansion did not do well, okay? And basing a... I mean, people do know Tomorrowland. It's where Space Mountain and shit is, but basing it on a part of a park is not... You can't make a movie out of that.
But Pirates of the Caribbean was sold on Johnny Depp's great performance. Like, that was... When I went and saw it, and I saw all three in the movie theater, even though I think I fell asleep during the third one because it was so long.
I saw the first three in the theater, too.
Now they're doing a fifth one already. I didn't see the fourth one. But Johnny Depp's performance was iconic, I'd say, for that first one. It kind of falls apart as it goes on, but that was just a good movie. It had nothing... The good news is it had nothing to do with the ride so much that you can make any story you wanted to, which is why it worked. That's the way you can base a movie off of ride, is if you say, okay, well, we're just using the name and the general idea of them being pirates, and go off and do whatever you want.
Well, that's what they were trying to do with Tomorrowland. I think the problem was they promised something they couldn't deliver, which was, if you looked at all the concept art for it, it was gorgeous.
Well, I hate to say, but you have middle-aged George Clooney just... I don't want to see him in an action role. I don't think kids want to either. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know who that's appealing to at that point.
Well, there's a kid main character as well.
Yeah, but I mean, George Clooney is not known for doing these type of movies. He does usually these more independent, artsy stuff or stuff on his own. So it just wasn't a good fit. When I first heard about it, I was actually surprised when I saw the trailer. Like, George Clooney's going to be in this genre flick. It just didn't fit. Since I don't remember George Clooney being in a genre flick for like 5 years at least. I can't even think of one that he's been in. You know what I mean? He does stuff like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Yeah, that's usually what he does. Or Monuments Men. That doesn't make any money or that much. But this is why they were shaky.
Going back to Tron.
It only grossed $400 million worldwide, and the budget was $170 million.
Right.
So the good rule of thumb is that the production budget, you factor in at least half of that for marketing, at least. So we're talking $250-300 million, and so for it to make that back, you got to do easily. You got to do easily 2 to 2.5 times your budget to make back break even at the box office. They didn't do that. Now, obviously, they probably made their money back through merchandising. I think they had the cartoon around that time came out with I think Elijah Wood voiced it or something, if I remember correctly. So it just seemed like probably too big of a risk for them to do. And plus, it's almost 5 years removed from the last. It would be more than 5 years before this movie comes out. That's a long time for a sequel. And I hate to say it, no Jeff Bridges, which would upset me.
No, that would upset me hugely.
So, like I said, I'm not shocked. If a sequel doesn't come within 3 years, I get kind of iffy. Like with the Matrix sequels, it's like, all right, what's taking them? Now they're doing shoot it back to back. I think once you get too far removed, it happened, you kind of lose that artistic sort of spark. And it happened a little bit with Back to the Future 2 and 3. Not that they're bad movies, but they were 4 years removed. It's like, get going. Start at least writing this stupid thing within a year or two, and let's get back on track. Now, I don't care if it takes a new director, but 5 years is a long time to wait between a sequel.
Well, a sequel where you're going to rely on the same actors reprising the same roles and looking roughly the same as they did.
Which they probably would. I mean, these aren't old people, but
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, I mean, they were able to do a sequel to Tron 30 years after the fact because they were doing a whole generational switch with the story. As time goes on, that gets harder to do a direct sequel.
And honestly, I don't think Garrett Hedlund. I mean, he did fine it, but I don't see him carrying the movie by himself as like the lead in it. And by the way, he was one of the finalists to be Captain America. I remember originally, and he was my personal choice at the time. Now, this guy looks like Captain America. He could have done it, but I said Chris Evans got the role. That's an aside. We won't be able to see Cillian Murphy as the villain. People always forget he had the cameo in the sequel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
As he like took over the corporation. I think he was the son or whatever.
Yeah. God, that would have been good.
That would have been awesome.
Now I'm just pissed.
Now you're pissed at it, right?
Now I'm just pissed because I love Cillian.
Because he was the best part of that.
And I love Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde would probably be able to carry the movie better as a lead than Hedlund.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't think her box office for her movies hasn't been the best. I think overall, Cowboys and Aliens did terribly, and that movie was
because it was called fucking Cowboys and Aliens.
Well,
I mean, I know it's based on a comic, but whatever.
So I'm sorry, no Tron for you.
Bah.